to really push the envelope. Something that Hollywood doesn't really try to. I mean, there's rare exceptions, of course, but this movie, this movie is gory. Just a quick note. If you love coffee, be sure to check out Blackout Coffee Company and Coffee Brand Coffee. Links in the description. Well, happy Fri-Yay. That's right, it's Friday. The end of the work week or the half week or whatever it was you did, because yesterday was Turkey Day. So exciting. I hope you're full beyond belief, like I am. I just really want to take a nap. But I can't. We gotta talk. We gotta talk about something entertaining, right? The end of the week. Weekend is right next door. And we're headed for it. So I'm rounding out the Timo Tjahjanto week with a super, like, they rate it's TV mature. That's the rating, and they leaned into that, the mature part of it, in a big way. Let's look at it. The Night Comes for Us. 2018, TV mature, 2 hours and 1 measly minute. Ito, a gangland enforcer, is caught amidst a treacherous and violent insurrection within the Triad crime family upon his return home from a stint abroad. Yeah, okay. Okay. Written and directed by Timo Tjahjanto. Stars Iko Uwais, Joe Taslim, Julie Estelle. Here we go. That synopsis is horrible. Basically, this movie is about a select group of people, of 6 people in the Triad, and they kind of, like, they don't rule it, but they're the enforcers, a select group. And one of them does something that riles up the rest of them. And so this whole movie is that guy taking a stand and trying to protect somebody while the entire Triad is after him. That's right. Like, the entirety of it. So this is basically just fight scene after fight scene, massacre and massacre and massacre until the end to see who wins. Now, I'm not going to tell you who wins. There is a young girl involved, like a child, that is trying to be protected throughout a majority of this movie. And it makes sense in the box that they've built, in this world they've created. And there is an arc. I wouldn't call it a heroic journey, but there is a morality tale here by with a whole bunch of people who have spent their adult life not really having a moral center on the positive side, like not really caring. They just did things willy nilly. But the what makes this movie unique is the blood and gore. I mean, this is bloodier and gorier and pretty, like, hardcore enough that you could even consider it, like, I've seen horror movies with less blood and gore than this movie, right? And some of the special effects and the shots they do are quite fantastic, but also stomach turning. No joke. Now, some of the fights, there's a few bits I noticed I was kind of like, they're off count a little bit as far as the stuntmen, but it wasn't enough to ruin the fights. It wasn't enough to it just really, the whole thing is just gut wrenching. Like, in a good way if you like action films, in an even better way if you like hardcore, gory action films that really push the envelope. It's not in English, of course. It's an Indonesian movie. There are some English bits throughout, but for the most part, you're going to be reading subtitles. And the story's quite cohesive. There was a couple moments I was like, hold on, and I'd have to track it back in my head. But for the most part, everything interlaced just fine. Because this movie's not so much about the story. There's a couple of items throughout, a couple of characters that you're like, oh, I don't care. Like, just get on with it. Uh, and if you watch this, you will know what I mean. You'll see it when, it just. However, that being said, this movie, the story's not the focal point necessarily. It's more about the violence and just some, like the final fight scene, like the climax. It goes on forever, and these two people are just beating the snot out of each other. I mean, on another level. This is definitely not for somebody with a weak constitution or a weak stomach. This movie has quite a bit of graphic gore and blood and guts and whatnot. Literally, guts. So that's. I mean, have you seen this movie? If so, tell me in the comments what you thought down below. I will say I much enjoyed Headshot and The Night Comes for Us more than The Shadow Strays, the newer movie that he released. Just, if nothing else, based on the story, made more sense, were better, like more well done, which is odd because older movies, when a director's done, like, here's his list of movies, here's the first one, and here's the newest one. Usually, as they progress, the quality gets better, and the stories get better, and the ability gets better. This is backwards. The newest movie that he did, The Shadow Strays, is not as good as earlier films. Now, again, there's just one more action movie that he's done in the past that I'm kind of interested in, and I'm hearing mixed results about it because it's kind of got a huge comedy slant to it, and maybe it's in the translation or the way he's, as an American, I saw a lot of comments about, as if you're from America, like some of the stuff doesn't hit, the jokes don't hit because the timing's off, the comedy's off, what have you. And that may just be a translation issue. So I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. So there's only one more I've got to watch. I'm not going to review it like next week. It's just for my own personal amusement. Unless it's really good, then maybe I will review it. The rest of his stuff is all horror stuff, and I'm not interested in that. Especially seeing how gory he can put through on an action movie. I have no interest in a horror movie that's got this level of gore and just hardcore like that. Definitely not. I'm more about the action. So, all right. Hey, we're going to go. We're going to enjoy the weekend. Looking forward to next week. I'm not sure yet what we're going to talk about, but it'll be 3 bangers, hopefully. Stay safe this weekend. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving holiday. From Michael, the microphone, Bob, squeaky chair in the back, and this big fat nerd, we will see you then.